Hi, it's Sue. Thanks for joining me for today's Bible reading for April 9th. And I'm reading 2 Samuel 19 to 21. Joab was told, "Behold, the king weeps and mourns for Absalom." The victory that day was turned into mourning among all the people, for the people heard it said that day, "The king grieves for his son." The people sneaked into the city that day as people who are ashamed steal away when they flee in battle. The king covered his face, and the king cried with a loud voice, "My son Absalom, Absalom, my son, my son." Joab came into the house to the king and said, "Today you have shamed the faces of all your servants, who today saved your life and the lives of your sons and your daughters, and the lives of your wives and the lives of your concubines, in that you love those who hate you and hate those who love you. For you have declared today that princes and servants are nothing to you. For today I perceive that if Absalom had lived and we had all died today, then it would have pleased you well. Now therefore arise, go out and speak to comfort your servants, for I swear by Yahweh, if you don't go out, not a man will stay with you this night. That would be worse to you than all the evil that happened to you from your youth until now." Then the king arose and sat in the gate. They they told to all the people, saying, "Behold, the king is sitting in the gate." All the people came before the king. Now Israel had fled, every man to his tent. All the people were at strife throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, "The king delivered us out of the hand of our enemies, and he saved us out of the hand of the Philistines, and now he has fled out of the land from Absalom. Absalom, who we anointed over us, is dead in battle. Now therefore, why don't you speak a word, bringing the king back?" King David sent to Zadok and to B.Th the priest, saying, "Speak to the elders of Judah, saying, why are you the last to bring the king back to his house? Since the speech of all Israel has come to the king to return to return him to his house. You are my brothers, you are my bone and my flesh. Why then are you the last to bring back the king? Say to Amasa, aren't you my bone and my flesh? God, do so to me, and more also, if you aren't captain of the army before me continually instead of Joab." He bowed the heart of all the men of Judah, even as one man, so that they sent to the king, saying, "Return you and all your servants." So the king returned and came to the Jordan. Judah came to Gilgal to go to meet the king, to bring the king over the Jordan. Shimei, the son of Gera, the Benjamite, who was of Bahurim, hurried and came down with the men of Judah to meet King David. There were 1,000 men of Benjamin with him, and Ziba the servant of Saul's house, and his 15 sons, and his 20 servants with him, and they went through the Jordan in the presence of the king. A ferry boat went to bring over the king's household and do what was, to do what he thought good. Shimei, the son of Gera, fell down before the king when he had come over the Jordan. He said to the king, "Don't let my lord impute iniquity to me. Remember that which your servant did perversely the day that my lord the king went out to Jerusalem, that the king should take it to heart. For your servant knows that I have sinned. Therefore, behold, I have come today, the first of all the house of Joseph, to go down to meet my lord the king." But Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, answered, "Shouldn't Shimei be put to death for this, because he cursed Yahweh's anointed?" David said, "What have I to do with you, you sons of Zeruiah, that you should be adversaries to me today? Shall any man be put to death today in Israel? For don't I know that I am king over Israel today?" The king said to Shimei, "You will not die." The king swore to him. Mephibosheth, the son of Saul, came down to meet the king, and he had neither groomed his feet, nor trimmed his beard, nor washed his clothes, from the day the king departed until the day he came home in peace. When he had come to Jerusalem to meet the king said to him, "Why didn't you go out with me, Mephibosheth?" He answered, "My lord, O king, my servant deceived me. For your servant said, I will saddle me a donkey, that I may ride on it and go with the king, because your servant is lame. He had slandered your servant to my lord the king, but my lord the king is as an angel of God. Do therefore what is good in your eyes. Do therefore what is good." Oops, I just read that. "For all my father's house were but dead men before my lord the king. Yet you set your servant among those who ate at your own table. What right, therefore, have I yet that I should cry any more to the king?" The king said to him, "Why do you speak any more of your matters? I say, you and Ziba divide the lamb." Mephibosheth said to the king, "Yes, let him take all, because my lord the king has come in peace to his own house." Barzillai the Gileonite came down from Jerusalem, and he went over the Jordan to the king to conduct him over the Jordan. Now Barzillai was a very aged man, even 80 years old. He had provided the king with sustenance while he stayed at Mahanaim, for he was a very great man. The king said to Barzillai, "Come over with me, and I will sustain you with me in Jerusalem." Barzillai said to the king, How many are the days and years of my life that I should go up with you to Jerusalem? I am 80 years old today. Can I discern between good and bad? Can your servant taste what I eat or what I drink? Can I hear the voice of singing men and singing women any more? Why then should your servant be a burden to my lord the king? Your servant would but just go over the Jordan with the king. Why should the king repay me with such a reward? Please repay me with such. Please let your servant turn back again, that I may die in my own city, by the grave of my father and my mother. But behold, your servant Shimon, let him go over with my lord the king, and do to him what shall seem good to you. The king said, Shimon shall go over with me, and I will do to him that which shall seem good to you. Whatever you request of me, that I will do. All the people went over the Jordan, and the king went over. Then the king kissed Barzillai and blessed him, and he said, and he returned to his own place. So the king went over to Gilgal, and Shimon went over with him. All the people of Judah brought the king over, and also half the people of Israel. Behold, all the men of Israel came to the king and said to the king, Why have our brothers, the men of Judah, stolen you away, and brought the king and his household over the Jordan, and all David's men with him? All the men of Judah answered the men of Israel, Because the king is a close relative to us. Why then are you angry about this matter? Have we eaten at all at the king's cost, or has he given us any gift? The men of Israel answered the men of Judah and said, We have 10 parts in the king, and we also more claim to David than you. Why then did you despise us, that our advice should not be first had in bringing back our king? The words of the men of Judah were fiercer than the words of the men of Israel. So they still have this rift, you know? And it doesn't get better, because later on they divide into the two kingdoms. So sad and really prophetic in many ways. Kind of like Isaac and Ishmael. Right, next chapter. There happened to be there a base fellow whose name was Sheba, the son of Bichri, a Benjamite, and he blew the trumpet and said, We have no portion in David, neither have we inheritance in the son of Jesse. Every man to his tents, Israel. So all the men of Israel went up from following David and followed Sheba, the son of Bichri, but the men of Judah joined with their king from the Jordan even to Jerusalem. David came to his house at Jerusalem, and the king took the 10 women, his concubines, whom he had left to keep the house, and put them in custody, and provided them with sustenance, but didn't go into them. So they were shut up to the day of their death, living in widowhood. Then the king said to Amasa, Call the men of Judah together with 3 days, and be here present. So Amasa went to call the men of Judah together, but he stayed longer than the set time which he had appointed him. David said to him, he said to Abishai, Now Sheba the son of Bichri will do us more harm than Absalom did. Take your Lord's servants and pursue after him, lest he get himself fortified cities and escape out of our sight. Joab's men went out after him, and the Cherethites and the Pelethites, and all the mighty men, and they went out of Jerusalem to pursue Sheba the son of Bichri. When they were at the great stone which is in Gibeon, Amasa came out to meet them. Joab was clothed in his apparel of war that he had put on, and it was a sash with a sword fastened on his waist in its sheath, and as he went along it fell out. Joab said to Amasa, Is it well with you, my brother? Joab took Amasa by the beard with his right hand to kiss him, but Amasa took no heed to the sword that was in Joab's hand. So he struck him with it in the body and shut out his bowels to the ground, and didn't strike him again, and he died. Joab and Abishai his brother pursued Sheba, the son of Bichri. One of Joab's young men stood by him and said, He who favors Joab, and he who is for David, let him follow Joab. Amasa lay wallowing in his blood in the middle of the highway. When the man saw that all the people stood still, he carried Amasa out of the highway into the field and cast a garment over him. When he saw that everyone who came by stood still, when he was removed out of the highway, all the people went on after Joab to pursue Sheba, the son of Bichri. He went through all the tribes of Israel to Abel and to Beth-maachah and all the Berites. They were gathered together and went also after him. They came and besieged him at Abel of Beth-maachah, and they cast up a mound against the city, and it stood against the rampart. And all the people who were with Joab battered the wall to throw it down. Then a wise woman cried out of the city, Hear, hear, please say to Joab, Come here that I may speak with you. He came near to her, and the woman said, Are you Joab? He answered, I am. Then she said to him, Hear the words of your servant. He answered, I'm listening. Then she spoke, saying, They used to say in old times, They shall surely ask counsel at Abel. And so they settled a matter. I am among those who are peaceable and faithful in Israel. You seek to destroy a city and a mother in Israel. Who will you swallow? Why will you swallow up Yahweh's inheritance? Joab answered, Far be it from me that I should swallow up or destroy. The matter is not so. But a man of the hill country of Ephraim, Sheba, the son of Bichri by name, has lifted up his hand against the king, even against David. Just deliver him, and I will depart from the city. The woman said to Joab, Behold, his head will be thrown over the wall. Then the woman went to all the people in her wisdom. They cut off the head of Sheba, son of Bichri, and threw it to Joab. He blew the trumpet, and they were dispersed from the city, every man to his tent. Then Joab returned to Jerusalem to the king. Now Joab was over all the army of Israel. Benaiah the son of Jehoiada was over the Cherethites and over the Pelethites. Adoram was over the men subject to forced labor. Jehoshaphat the son of Ahilud was the recorder. Sheva was scribe, and Zadok and Abiathar were priests, and Ira the Jerite was chief minister to David. One more chapter, chapter 21. There was a famine in the days of David for 3 years, year after year, and David sought the face of Yahweh. Yahweh said, It is for Saul and for his bloody house, because he put the Gibeonites to death. The king called the Gibeonites and said to them, Now the Gibeonites were not of the children of Israel, but of the remnant of the Amorites, and the children of Israel had sworn to them, and Saul sought to kill them in his zeal for the children of Israel and Judah. And David said to the Gibeonites, What should I do for you? And with what should I make atonement that you may bless Yahweh's inheritance? The Gibeonites said to him, It is not a matter of silver or gold between us and Saul or his house, neither is it for us to put away any man to death in Israel. He said, Whatever you say, that I will do for you. They said to the king, The man who consumed us and who devised against us that we should be destroyed from remaining in any of the borders of Israel, let 7 men of his sons be delivered to us, and we will hang them. We will hang them up to Yahweh in Gibeah of Saul, the chosen of Yahweh. The king said, I will give them. But the king spared Mephibosheth, the son of Jonathan, the son of Saul, because of Yahweh's oath that was between them, between David and Jonathan, the son of Saul. But the king took the 2 sons of Rizpah, the daughter of Baah, whom she bore to Saul, Armoni and Mephibosheth, and the 5 sons of Michal, the daughter of Saul, whom she bore to Adriel, the son of Baruzai, the Meholethite. He delivered them into the hands of the Gibeonites, and they hanged them on the mountain before Yahweh, and all 7 of them fell together. Wow, so much blood. They were put to death in the days of the harvest, in the 5 days as the beginning of the barley harvest. Rizpah, the daughter of Ai, took sackcloth and spread it for herself on the rock from the beginning of harvest until water poured on them from the sky. She allowed neither the birds of the sky to rest on them by day, nor the animals of the field by night. David was told what Rizpah, the daughter of Ai, the concubine of Saul, had done. So David went and took the bones of Saul and the bones of Jonathan, his sons, from the men of Jabesh Gilead, who had stolen them from the street of Bethshan, where the Philistines had hung them, in the day that the Philistines killed Saul in Gibeah. And he brought them up from there, and the bones of Saul and the bones of Jonathan his son. They also gathered the bones of those who were hanged. They buried the bones of Saul and Jonathan his son in the country of Benjamin and Zelah, in the tomb of Kish his father, and they performed all that the king commanded. After that, God answered prayer for the land. See how David had this understanding of how to set things right. His walk with God ever since he was young had taught him that God has ways of doing things. And so he knew he had to set this straight. He had to honor Saul and Jonathan and get these other things corrected. So you could say these are reparations, but they're reparations made properly in accordance with the principles, with God's principles, with righteousness, right? It's a form of justice, really. So, excuse me, says, after that, God answered prayer for the land. The Philistines had war again with Israel, and David went down and his servants with him. Now, see, let me stop again. That principle where David put everything right and then God heard the prayer for the land. To me, it's almost like putting a car in gear. It's not going to drive until you get it in gear, in drive, right? So it's like David knew the keys and how to, how to put the puzzle together properly so that it made the right picture. Let me start again. So it says, the Philistines had war again with Israel, and David went down and his servants with him and fought against the Philistines. David grew faint, and Ishbibenob, who was the son of the giant, the weight of whose spear was 300 shekels of brass in weight, he being armed with a new sword, thought he would kill David. But Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, helped him and struck, excuse me for my alarm, struck the Philistine and killed him. So there it shows you that Philistine was a giant. Were they all giants? Then the men of David swore to him, saying, don't go out with us to battle any more, so that you don't quench the lamp of Israel. After this, there was again war with the Philistines at Gob. Then Zibbachai the Hushakite killed Saph, who was one of the sons of the giant. So there's another giant. There was again war with the Philistines at Gob, and Elhanan, the son of Jair, or Agim, the Bethlehemite, killed Goliath, the Gittite's brother, the staff of whose spear was like a weaver's beam. So another giant. There was again war at Gath, where there was a man of great stature who had 6 fingers on every hand and 6 toes on every foot, 24 in count, and he also was born to the giant. So there's another one. When he defiled Israel, Jonathan, the son of Shimei, David's brother, killed him. These 4 were born to the giant in Gath, and they fell by the hand of David and by the hand of his servants. So there's some more of the giant race that was in the promised land that David and his men and others banished from the land. Some of them fled, and I think that most of them died. I don't know for sure. So it's very interesting history there. Another thing we're not taught in public school. And as I said before, there are archaeological evidence that these giants, let me just say it lends to the idea that they fled even as far as the Americas, because they have found artifacts from that region. They found artifacts with Hebrew inscriptions and remains of these type of giants. Very interesting. Where did they go? Where did they go when they were run off from there? So that's it for today. Feel free to comment your thoughts, share the video. God bless you. Till tomorrow.